Welcome back. Episode 4.
Episode 4.
I know.
Well, I would say if the title of episode 4 doesn't get you to tune in, I don't know what will. And I will say it is not clickbait.
It is not clickbait. No, there's lots of announcements today and lots of things going on in the world, but we're really excited. Again, a lot of positive feedback on the podcast. Someone said they actually like to listen to our podcast, like on a podcast platform.
That's crazy.
I know, that's nuts. So
glad to hear though. And I think people are tuning in just to listen to us yammer, but also like the value we're hopefully adding.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is supposed to be entertainment, right? So this is a little bit of travel news and a little bit of fun here and there. So, but we're all glad you're here. But we have a jam-packed show for you today. So let's jump into it. So I think, Colleen, you have our first announcement of the day.
Sure. So as the title suggested, we are growing. So that does not mean growing our family. that ship has sailed. Pardon the pun.
The ship has sailed.
But actually, yes. So we have officially relaunched our new Navigate merchandise.
Navigatemerch.com.
Yes. So go check it out. Navigatemerch.com. I think there's a little bit for everyone out there. So you will see, as I'm wearing, we've got a nice little kind of cursive t-shirt, and it's really, I think, taken on our true mantra of how we want to live our lives.
Yeah, navigate your world.
Yeah, so I would say I'd encourage people to go check it out. We've got some great compass type clothing and items that can be ordered. We've got clothing that just has kind of this more cursive, light, fun, navigate your world. And then we've got something called NYW.
NYW.
So
what's the NYW stand for again?
Navigate your world. Yeah. Just in case you weren't sure. So, I would say that this merchandise is a way to help out our channel as well. So not to, I'm a fan of never saying never, but for now, I don't think we're ever going to do a Patreon.
No, we don't want to, look, everybody works hard. And look, if you're doing a Patreon, this isn't a knock on channels that have Patreons, because I know they do extra things like special videos and those types of things. But at the end of the day, I mean, how many more subscription services do people need?
Right.
Colleen, do you need another one?
I do not. I am chock-a-block full.
Yeah. So, we obviously are wanting to do more with this channel, and we think that many of you enjoy the content. So the Navigate merch is just one piece of it, and now there's another piece too. We have launched NYW Travel, and what that is, I will be booking cruises for people.
I think that's very exciting, Nate. So tell us a little bit more. Obviously you can book cruises. I think, land travel as well, but I think certainly we specialize probably more in cruising. Yeah,
there's definitely people that, I'm going to be working through a company called Faroe Travel for right now. And that company is focused a lot on the hotel industry, but I'm specifically going to be focused on cruises. And again, I don't think it's going to be, again, this is something we're doing, on the side. But our thought is instead of doing a Patreon, we could provide a service, and that money will go to help fund this channel, because we have some expensive cruises coming up.
Yes, we do. So just to reiterate, so I don't think that there's any charge to folks that want to book their cruise through you.
No, there's no charge. You're never going to pay more than what you can get, like if you went directly to the cruise line. But a couple of the benefits of going directly, and I'm not saying not on every cruise, but there are certain cruises that there are, some small bonuses on. Not everyone, but if it's available, we'll make sure to give it to you. And at the end of the day, it's just a way for you to support this channel without, you're going on a cruise anyways, right? And you'll get you'll get myself, kind of helping you out along the way. So if you are a first-time cruiser, I just did this for my folks. And I realized, wow, they had a lot of questions. It's been a long time. Do you remember your first cruise, Colleen?
Oh, goodness.
I mean, of recently.
Yes, it was Celebrity Equinox
Yeah.
with you. And that was,
We
yeah,
didn't
there
know
was,
it, and we didn't know anything.
we really didn't. And, and my parents had done a lot of cruising, but it's different when you're kind of in the boat and you're booking and you're like,
Yeah.
it's just, there's a lot of details. And you're not
There's
quite
a
sure.
lot of details, and I've actually realized that after booking my parents' first cruise, is that if you're a first time cruiser, how many questions that they have and how many things, it's because it's like everyone, I think I read a stat that like maybe not even like a third of Americans have ever been on a cruise ship.
Wow.
So that's a lot of people. So it might even be, maybe it was even less than that, but people aren't familiar with cruise travel. They're not familiar. Everyone knows airplane travel, pretty simply, but cruise travel, people just don't know. So we're going to try to make it as easy as possible, give you as much information as possible. I've been using some new platforms that will give you information about the port, will give you information. It can also book hotels as well too for you. The only thing we don't do is air travel unless it's through the cruise line, and we can do that. But we can be your one-stop shop for your next cruise.
Excellent. And so say someone has booked a cruise in the last couple of weeks, is there opportunity for them to put that booking under you?
Yeah, we can take it over. Every cruise line's different is what I'm finding out. So this is, again, I'm learning all about, having just been a consumer of cruise travel and now a seller of cruise travel is a very different thing, but there's rules. But the good thing is the large cruise companies have sales agents that basically work with us and help me out. So, I've had some people like right now I booked my first, as I mentioned, booked my parents. So they're going on a celebrity cruise. So that's very exciting. But yeah, we can take over a cruise, but it's usually got to be within 30 days. So if it's in with 30 days and you're here in the United States, that's the other caveat. I can't sell outside the United States. I might be able to do Canada. I haven't checked on that yet, but definitely the United States for sure.
Well, that's exciting. So Nate, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, you can just go to nywtravel.com, and that will actually forward you right to my For a Travel page where you can submit your information on there. It'll shoot me an email and I'll get back to you, and you'll most of the correspondence though I just set up in an email for NYW Travel. It's Nate at nywtravel.com. So either way you can get to me one of those two ways.
Exciting. And then too, also you've got your own NYW Travel YouTube channel.
Yes. So, okay, promise last plug, and then we're going to hop into the show here. So, yeah, we also are going to have a separate channel. Obviously, it's going to be focused on cruise and travel as well, too. It's going to be a little bit different take. It's going to be a little bit more on, like guides. Like my first video is about like, how to pick your first cruise, right? So it's going to be that. It's going to be ship tours, room tours. Hopefully, I'll get invited to go tour more ships. So that's something travel agents get to do. So there'll be a lot of room tours on there as well, and a lot of tips as well too. So it's going to be a little bit different format. There will be some crossover content, but it'll be a little bit different than this. So if you like the Navigate with Colin and Nate, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to keep this very much focused on fun and travel vlogging.
Very exciting. Great. Well, I think we've covered all the we're growing.
Yeah, that's the we're growing piece. So now let's get into what people came for. Lizard people.
Oh, lizard people.
Do you know about lizard people? Do you know where lizard people came from?
Well, I think I'm familiar with the current story on lizard people, but no, is there more backstory history there?
So there's a little lizard people been a bit of a meme since the 80s.
Oh.
Yeah, they go back to the 80s. There was this show called V. So this is for all the sci-fi geeks out there. There was this show called V. It was basically the long and the short of it was aliens come. They look like humans, but underneath their skin, they are lizard people.
Oh my goodness. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, and then they did a remake. I think it was in the early 2000s as well too, which only I think got one season. But that's where the lizard people. But if you haven't been paying attention to the news, I guess now instead of snakes on planes, we have lizards on planes.
God, it's like airline travel is already like messy messy enough as it is. And now we were incorporating potential lizard people on the plane.
Yeah, so we want to just do a follow-up to the story. So if you haven't been paying attention, there was a lady a couple of weeks ago who had a major, I think that's an understatement, a major freak out. And I feel bad for her. We don't know, well, and this is kind of where we're going with this story today. So anyways, she had a freak out yelling at a passenger, basically saying that mother effer is not real, like over and over. And then also screaming at the top of her lungs, like, I'm not going to stay on this plane. If you all want to stay on this plane, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but if you all want to stay on this plane, you're all going to die. What do you think about that, Colleen?
That's some bold, bold statements. And it was just interesting because there was obviously a passenger on the airplane that took some video of this meltdown, freak out. And the rest of the passengers were sort of just sitting there like nonchalant, like this is something that happens every day or every flight for them.
Yeah. So one of the things I was curious about, I think like a lot of people is like, well, what happened to this person? Right. So as far as what I've been able to do, I did some research, and the first thing I could only find, and I think it was from one of the news affiliates in Dallas, was basically saying that the cops had a talk with her and then just let her go.
To make such a statement of the plane's going to go down, I just think that that's not enough. I mean, not that we necessarily heard.
Oh, sorry about that. Little technical difficulties there. Sorry.
It's okay. Needs like enough. Stop talking.
I'm cutting off your mic.
I was just going to say, I think, there would be at least some, I wouldn't say interrogation, but some questioning.
Well, I mean, obviously, like, because it's one of two things. Like, either like there was something wrong with that person, something's wrong with the plane or the person, or like the person's having some type of mental health crisis, and you're just going to let them go.
Or did she really see something?
Yeah. Well, this is where my second part of this story comes in. So there's another famous 80s movie called They Live. Have you heard about They Live?
No.
Okay. So They Live features the ever famous, you remember Rodney Piper?
Yeah.
Yeah, the wrestler.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he also did a little bit of acting.
Oh.
He was in this movie called They Live. So again, involves aliens basically infiltrating the highest levels of government. But here's the catch, is you can only see them if you wear special sunglasses.
I think I know what we're watching tonight. I think we're going to have like a sci-fi, like thrill
80s,
movies.
80s
yes.
sci-fi thrill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, in this movie, basically, the character played by Roddy Piper basically, falls into this group of folks that are, trying to basically reveal that the government in the world is run by these aliens that you can see through these special sunglasses. So my theory right now is that this woman actually doesn't need the sunglasses. She can see the lizard people.
God, that's like some special secret ability.
Yeah.
I'm kind of jealous.
And I was, well, you may not be jealous because nobody can find a trace of this woman. So from an article in complex.com, which is a website I've never seen before, but basically the author, Trace Cohen, writes about, what if, instead of the person on the plane not being real, it's the woman that's not real.
Okay. I can buy into that.
So, yeah, because nobody on the internet can find a trace of this person, right? There's literally, you have a clear as day shot of her in this video and nobody can find her.
And that's the weird thing is with social media nowadays, you think that there would be someone that would be like, oh, I used to work with her, or that's my, third cousin twice removed. You think someone would come forward to say like, oh, I know this individual.
Well, yeah, unless, maybe she's has some type of, crisis and, obviously people don't want to put her back in the spotlight.
True.
But the fact that just nobody, like not even the news, you think the news would be like, hey, like what's up? Like what you see on the plane? Like why were you so scared? It was literally the biggest news story where the main character of the story, nobody knows anything about, nobody knows where they are now, and nobody knows who they are. Creepy.
And the supposed lizard person, there's some fuzzy video where he's wearing like a hoodie And supposedly he never says anything. He doesn't talk.
Yeah.
Like, you think he would maybe even come
Well,
forward or...
the only person we've heard from is the comedian Carrot Top.
Yeah,
Remember him?
Yes.
He was on the flight. So it doesn't get much weirder than that. On a flight with lizard people and Carrot Top. And one more reason why I like to cruise over flying. So
I'm with you on that.
yeah.
What a story.
Though I will say it's a good transition into our next story, which is about cruising. I will say if you are listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, you may want to if you have any children in the room, you may want to remove them.
Yes. I think our next topic is covering dolphins, and I think it's certainly disturbing. And to be honest, I wasn't even sure I really wanted to talk about it.
Well, I think it's worth talking about. Well, I don't know if it's worth talking about, but we're going to talk about it anyway. So Ambassador Cruise Lines, and this is from the Washington Post, the Ambassador Cruise Lines apologized for exposing customers to a traditional whale hunt in blood-soaked waters. And 78 whales slaughtered in front of cruise passengers in the Faroe Islands.
It just sounds horrific, especially you're not expecting that. You're just you're probably a lover of marine life and the water and
yeah, most people go on cruises to see whales,
right?
Like not see them be, well, technically they're pilot whales, but they're in the dolphin family. But people go to see wildlife, not to see it like butchered.
It just sounds horrific. I'm sure that was very traumatizing for those people.
Yeah, I mean, that's not exactly what you think of when you think of a lovely port day in a small island nation.
Do we know how long this like event goes on for? Is it like a week, or is it just this one day?
I think it's just one day, but I know that it's been going on, from what I've understood, is for several hundred years. And like,
wow.
And like this goes back to the time, obviously, when, and look, the folks that live on this island say, hey, they're not just doing it for sport. I think that is something to point out. It is not just for sport. We may not agree with it, but they are indeed eating the dolphins.
Well, I mean, I get it. I guess it's sort of like, us eating chicken or beef, we're just...
Yeah, but dolphins are like sentient beings.
They are. I mean,
supposedly. Supposedly, but I think that's been kind of proven is that they have a higher, like maybe like primates and stuff. Like they actually might even be smarter than primates.
I mean, maybe it's their only source of food. Maybe I'm not familiar with what's available on this island.
On the island, there is a Burger King.
You have to be kidding.
Yeah, there's a Burger King. That's super. Today is let me read this. This again from the Washington Post. Today, the country of about 53,000 residents boasts modern supermarkets and even a Burger King. However, the Faroese still participate in the whale hunt, a community activity that can be traced back. It's even longer to 1584, according to government records. So this has been going on for a very long time. And the meat and blubber is distributed among the islanders. And one of the hunt's defense, it's feeding people. However, health experts warn that, I don't know, what is this? Cetaceans? I don't know. I think it's a fancy name for dolphins. So that the dolphins contain dangerous levels of mercury, heavy metals, and pollutants, right? Which again is why I think a lot of people, like when you're pregnant, they say don't eat seafood.
Right. Don't eat canned tuna and whatnot. Ugh. I mean, it's like I feel for both sides of the situation.
Yeah. So now the question goes back to Ambassador Cruise Lines, right? So I guess there's been several cruise lines that have stopped a long time ago, maybe not a long time ago, but recently stopped going to the Faroe Islands because of this practice, right? Because again, I think most cruise lines now are trying to say that they are stewards of the ocean and that they're there to protect the ocean and the wildlife. So kind of antithetical. To go somewhere where, again, it's kind of a debate, but, should Ambassador Cruise Lines stop going to the Faroe Islands?
Well, I think that's a great question to put out to our listeners and viewers, but, it's just hard. It's obviously a part of their heritage, and I'm sure cruising is also a source of income for maybe some of the little stores on the port line. So to take that away as well as you're, taking income from them. So I don't know. I think still maybe visit the island, but maybe work around the timing of when you go.
I think that's kind of a no-brainer there. So leave us a comment. That's the question of the day is, should Ambassador Cruise Lines stop going to the Faroe Islands? What are your thoughts on this? Please let us know. And again, if you're on Spotify, that will be our question of the day today. So, and we love dolphins and we don't want to see them eaten or killed.
Exactly.
And as someone, I was listening to Lita Luca, and he's like, "Look, I don't watch my chickens get killed." He doesn't have chickens, but you know what I'm saying. Like we don't modern day, we don't really
see that side of the food that ends up on our plates.
Yeah. So, anyways, but let's move on to some more positive news. So, in our last segment here, it is that time of year when the ever coveted travel and leisure readers' favorites come out.
Ooh.
Are you excited?
I am.
So they have several cruise line ship categories. I think there's like 5 in total, but including like river cruises and expedition cruises or like small boats. But we're going to look at just the 3 main ones, which is the small ship ocean cruise lines, and then the large ship ocean cruise lines, and then the mega ship ocean cruise lines. So let's start with the small ship. So what is your guess for the winner this year of the small ship category?
Small ship. So I'm going to go with, is it the Explorer? Is it MSC's new Explorer ship?
The ship hasn't come out yet.
Oh. Guess they can't win any awards yet then.
No, they can't. Do you have a second guess?
I have a second guess. I'm going to go with some sort of exhibition, some sort of unique
exhibition. What type of ship are you sailing on there?
It's not a nudist cruise, trust me.
Okay.
I don't know. You tell me, Nate. What is it?
All right. So the full list. So I'll give you 5th place. And 5th place is Silver Seas, scoring 90.56, followed by Seabourn Cruises at 92.51. Paul, I always mess this up, Godwin Cruises, someone correct me down in the comments, 92.56. Windstar Cruises at 92.72. And the clear winner in the small ship category with a score of 95.35, and again, this is based on readers' feedback, is Viking Cruise Lines.
Okay. Well, that's very interesting.
Yeah,
so,
none of those ships that we've been on.
Well, and that was going to be my next question, is for our listeners as well and viewers. Is there a cruise line that you would like to see us hop on in this small ship category? And I'll be honest,
is there a cruise line listening that would like to bring us on board?
That is a good point, Nate. That's a good point. I'd be curious to try Viking.
Yeah, I mean, Viking, the ships look absolutely beautiful on the inside. And of course, they like that Scandinavian design. But yeah, so that's it for the small ships. So now let's go on to the large ship categories. So, and again, so all of these, I'm just looking here what was ranked. It was cabins, food service, itineraries / destinations, excursions / activities, and value for money, right? So value for that. So again, would you like to take a guess in the small ship category?
I do. I'm going with Oceania as number 1.
You would be incorrect. You'd be incorrect. Do you want to take one more guess? One more guess, Colleen. Come on.
Oh, goodness. I'm going to go with, is it maybe one of the smaller, like, royal ships?
No.
All right. I don't know then, Nate. Tell me.
All right. So we're going to start off in 5th place. Now, one thing I want to say, too, is these scores dropped dramatically for this large ship category. So in 5th place is Princess Cruises with 82.13.
So it's not necessarily a particular ship.
Well, you have to have a certain size ship within, you have to have at least one ship within that category, right? So each category has different, it's probably the number of passengers on board is how they determine that.
Gotcha. So they just name the cruise line, but not necessarily the ship.
No, sometimes they do call out in the article. You can check out the full article on travelandleisure.com. They go into more detail. But in fifth place is Princess Cruises, followed by Celebrity Cruises with an 84.56. Disney Cruise Line, again, 86.31. Holland America, 86.44. And in the number one spot, going to our friends in the UK, Cunard at 88 with an even 88 score.
Very interesting. I feel like Cunard is sort of like under the radar in my thoughts.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do the Queen Mary too, right?
Right.
So they do the,
Right.
It's not a cruise ship, it's a sea liner.
Right. Same difference.
Yeah. Would you go on a transatlantic cruise?
I've had moments where I've thought it's a great idea. I do worry about the rocky seas, though. So many days out in that ocean, and if you just
you can take it from England back to the U.S. and you can pretend you're a pilgrim.
I could. Maybe in retirement, Nate. Maybe that's what we do. Is we just do transatlantics back and forth.
We're definitely going to do some long cruises in retirement.
I think so.
They're going to laugh at us because we're going to bring all this camera gear along. All right. So let's move on to the mega ship category. All right. Now, let's see. So far, you've struck out. You are 0 for 2.
I know.
Can you redeem yourself on this last one?
God, you think you would give me some hints ahead of the recording of the podcast? Ugh. I'm going to go with mega ship. I'm going to go with Royal.
And you would be incorrect.
Darn.
All right. So, starting us off in the fifth place. Again, here, one of the things I want to call out is that the winner of this category had very different scores than the other category, the other people in this category. So, starting off, we had Norwegian Cruise Lines.
Okay.
With a score of 80.03. That's like a B minus, man. You're almost in C plus range there.
Might as well just be failing at that point.
Well, I mean, that just means everyone below that is in like the C plus range. And then next is Royal Caribbean International with a score of 82.06.
That's surprising.
Why is it surprising?
I figured Royal would rank a little bit higher. I mean, there's something for everyone on Royal.
Yeah, but, I think, again, too, is this a reflection of, kind of what people have experienced? We've had very good time on Royal Caribbean, but I think on our last cruise we noted it was a little tough sometimes to get a drink. It was a little tough to, sometimes like service was hit or miss a little bit. I mean, it wasn't a bad time. It's still a great ship for families and it's great value. And obviously we're going on Icon, but, maybe it's just a reflection of, some of the staffing issues they've had.
That's a very good point.
So, in third place, another cruise line that we need to get on sometime is Princess Cruise Lines.
Okay.
With actually just barely beating out Royal with a score of 82.2.
Jeez. Yeah, I think I would like to check out Princess. I think it's definitely a different type of cruising, and I'd say it's leaning more towards the traditional style. But I'm all for that as I age gently in my life, having a little quiet, more relaxed cruise style.
We're wicked old, as they would say in New England. In second place, one of probably our favorite cruise line right now, Celebrity Cruises, with an 86.05.
Go Celebrity.
Yeah, and the winner of this category, it wasn't even close.
They blew all the competition out of the water?
They literally blew the competition out of the water.
Wow.
And it is the newcomer to the space, Virgin Voyages, scoring a 93.01.
All right, you're right.
I mean, that's a solid A.
That is a solid A and a solid few point difference between them and Celebrity. Wow. Well, I know we've talked about going on Virgin. I think it's just it's a different type of cruise, and we only have so many so many PTO days.
Yeah, it's always the constraint. But I think the thing with Virgin though is, especially now that I'm actually taking, some of the courses and just learning a little bit more about Virgin Cruise Lines, it's just I think it's the pricing model that's really starting to set them apart. So it's the price you see is, they're kind of like, I don't want to compare them to CarMax, but it's like the price you see is the price you get.
And isn't it sort of all in? Like, it's not like Royal where you start with your base and then you add on a drink package and add on specialty dining and.
Yeah, so there is no specialty dining. So on their ships right now, they have about 20 different dining venues, all of which are included in the main fare. And then they also have like casual dining as well too. So they have a little bit of everything, right? So they have fine dining to more casual based dining to like, kind of like quick service dining. It's all included. Tips are included. Gratuities are included. The price, I think it starts at the per cabin, right? So they've also, I know this summer, waived solo supplements for some of their Mediterranean sailings. And then on top of that, they've been offering what they call bar tab. So instead of there's no drink package, but they really tout the price of their drinks.
Gotcha. So is it more like an onboard credit that you can then use towards your bar tab?
Yeah. So they have, they sometimes run specials. I don't know what the one is right now. It's pretty good. You check them out. Just shoot me an email if you want to go on Virgin. I'll confirm the details. But basically, yeah, you can spend it online. You can also pre-purchase a bar tab, and I think if you it's like something like a $300. If you buy $300, they give you another $50, and then the drinks aren't expensive. So they talk about, their beers are like $6.
Oh, that's very reasonable. I mean, that's what you pay on land, pretty much.
Yeah, basic like martinis or basic drinks are like $9, and then your fancy martinis are like $12 or something like that.
That's great.
They do have some expensive stuff, but they also said that they have, I think it was like 46% of their wine selection was under $10 a glass.
That's phenomenal, especially where they don't have a drink package and you're basically paying per drink out of pocket. It's just nice to know that you're not going to end up with this ridiculous bar tab at the end of your cruise. It's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, so I think it's I think that's probably it. And then I've heard the food is actually amazing on board.
I've heard the same as well. And I like the variety too. And I think they seem to be very focused too. Like if you've got either dietary restrictions or vegan, like there's something for everyone.
Yep, there's definitely something for everyone. So again, Virgin Voyages, I think we're getting closer to taking our first Virgin Voyages. I think we've been a little bit hesitant because it is very different.
It is. I think I'll be very straightforward and honest that I just am afraid I'm a little out of the maybe the age range. Or
that's why she wants to go on Cunard. She's more to the pilgrims.
I'm an old soul.
She's more Puritan. She's on the Puritan end of the cruising spectrum. So, but that's it for us. So a lot of excitement today. Again, episode 4 in the bag.
In the books.
All right. So again, thank you all for tuning in. We appreciate you spending time with us. Again, you can find our show now on not only YouTube, but Spotify and all the major podcasting platforms. If you are listening to us on there, please give us a review, share us with your friends. If you're here on YouTube, I can't say it enough, please make sure you subscribe to the channel. Again, we've committed to trying to do these every 2 weeks, and we'll be covering, again, current cruise news and our views and all that good stuff. To steal that from another, we get yelled at. Someone's going to be like, wait, isn't that someone else's? But we do appreciate being here. And so that's it for us today. Thank you again. And remember, as always, navigate your world.